Guys, I'm audible. Can we? Respond that.
Audible, sir.
Very good. So there is small differences. Three things we'll discuss. Then we'll go to the drivers. So like what is web browser and OS, RAM and hard disk. Okay, Windows and Linux. These differences. Also we'll check it. Okay, and then we'll see one more. Then we'll see about drivers, your system configurations, and all. Okay. So here it is, a simple question. This question asked in one or two batches in an interview question. That's why I put these two things here. So simple question it is, what is the difference between browser and OS? Here is a browser means like a example web browser. Of course, file browser is also there. So mostly we think it is a web browser only. Okay. So web browser. So you take a Google Chrome browser or maybe Microsoft Edge browser, Firefox browser. So browser is an application. Browser is a application. Purpose of the web browser is to access website, web-based access, right? You're accessing different websites, w3schools.com, learn.microsoft.com, this Google Docs, right? WhatsApp, web WhatsApp we are accessing here, right? It is used to access websites. To run any application, so where it is application runs on the operating system. Without operating system you can't run applications. Okay, then what is this purpose of operating system? Purpose of operating system is to provide environment to run applications, user interfaces, interact with your hardware, right? That is the purpose of operating system. So thing is, without operating system you can't run that application. Like you have a Google Chrome browser and you have a desktop or laptop without OS. Can we run this Google Chrome browser? No, we can't run it, right? It needs some operating system. Okay, it need an operating system. On the top of operating system we are running applications. So that is a point. Okay. Sometimes guys, in interviews differences is also important, that too in a basic level. Difference between RAM and ROM, difference between CPU and RAM. Okay, like that, different small differences important. So when you got in a differences, few differences you may learn earlier, and it is quite easy to certain differences. Okay, some are completely different, some are no relationship between the both the things. In that cases, what to do? What is the first one? A and B. What is the difference between A and B? Okay. A1. What is A? What is B? What is use of A? What is use of B? Is any relationship is in the between A and B, or any common points in between A and B? We can tell. Like a hard disk and SSD. Both are storage devices. It's a common thing. It is both are storage devices. Both are used to store operating system, applications, and data. Okay, either you can use hard disk or SSD. Nowadays most of the people are going SSD. Why? Because compared to hard disk, SSD is smaller the size, lesser power consumption, faster reading and writing of data. Okay, faster boot processing, faster loading of applications of is there. So that's in the SSD. Okay, mechanical wise, like means internal function wise, hard disk as a platter where the data is stored, and not only platter, there is a spindle motor, actuator arm, like read and write header. So mechanical components are there in the hard disk. And whereas coming to the SSD, all are chips and only data stores in the chips only. So this is the major differences, right? Sometimes like that, sometimes no, there is no common thing in it. Very one common thing may be there, but maybe one or two, but mostly it is different also. So in that cases, we can go what it is, what is that, like that we have to do. Like for example, Windows and Linux, both are operating system. I can use Windows or Linux operating system based on my requirement, based on the positive and negative things about those system. Right? Of course, that is also we are going to. But what I'm trying to say it is, when you got a question related to the differences, if there is a directly differences are there, yes, that is good, and directly you can tell. If not having any differences, you didn't expect that question will come. That is, they're asking difference between this and that. So you tell me about first one and tell about the first one and tell about the second one. That's it. Okay. So that's make automatically the difference points. Another difference the got question is like RAM and hard disk. Of course, RAM and hard disk both are memory devices, but there is no relations. Both are used inside your computer, right? So different purpose. Then we'll see the different things about a RAM. RAM is a primary memory. RAM is primary memory, hard disk is secondary memory. So both are memory devices, but RAM is primary memory, hard disk is secondary. RAM is volatile memory, hard disk is non-volatile memory. Volatile means whenever you turn off the device, data in the volatile memory device is gone, lost, cleaned. In non-volatile memory, you shut down the system, you power off the device or disconnect the device, still data will remains in the non-volatile memory device. That is the difference. Okay. RAM is temporary memory. Hard disk is like a permanent memory, and hard disk is a mass storage devices. Okay. Hard disk stores your operating system, applications, and data. When you power on your system, that will be loaded into your RAM. You turn off the system, it will be gone from your RAM. Okay. Next is without RAM, system cannot start. First step is post. The post will be failed without a RAM or a RAM not working. So system cannot at all boot. Okay, that is a one thing. So you can avoid that kind of stuff again, because if you say if RAM is not working or RAM is not there, so system won't be started. System will start, but it won't be booted. Okay, it won't be booted means the basic boot post operations will be failed. If you say that one again, the connected questions are there. So try to avoid this connected question related statements. If you can tell, no problem. But if you tell, there is a if in case any connected questions come up, you are able to tell answer also. Otherwise, you can avoid it to avoid the next question based on it. So if you are not what is post again, boot processing. But make sure that is you should know everything, guys. What I'm trying to say once again, I am I'm trying to remind you everyone, please read every day, give at least half an hour what we are discussing that day. You have a document, you have a resources, so right, read every day. You got a doubt or you need a question, put it in a WhatsApp group, don't send any personal things. Okay, put it in a group. Okay, read every day, because tomorrow for example you're completed and in a after in suddenly you're attending TR session for example. So one day preparation is not enough, it is become hurry. Be prepared every day and practice answering. Means if you got this question, how you tell answer, practice that one. By practicing it's become smoother answer. I don't mind about you are giving correct or wrong. It's my minding it. How you tell answer is also an important. You should tell correct answer and you should tell properly. So that is a very important in interviews. Okay, that is also come to the communication as well as technical. You're in technical interview. So prepare daily. Compulsory preparation is important. Take half an hour, 50 minutes, guys. Nothing more. You have a document. You open in your mobile phone, your laptop, sitting sometime, just sit for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. First read what we have discussed today. Okay, that is enough. Every day you do it, that is. So do read today. Again tomorrow, once again check it. So you will remember. Try to recollect it and try to practice. Keep practicing, will remember things for longer time. Yeah, okay. So these are the difference between RAM and ROM. Primary memory, secondary memory, volatile, non-volatile, temporary memory, permanent memory, mass storage device, stores operating system, applications and data. Okay, these are the major points in the hard disk and RAM differences. And one more major difference, like we are in an operating system. So see this operating system differences, right? Windows and the Linux operating system differences. Guys, Linux is a open source because you know Windows. So I'm telling first I will tell about Linux, then we'll come back to Windows because already you know the Windows. So the differences we can make like that. Okay. Linux is a open source operating system. Linux itself not a OS, it's a Linux based operating systems are there. Linux is basically a kernel. This kernel developed by Linus Torvalds. Okay, and he make this Linux kernel as a open source. What is open source is the source code is available to everyone. Anybody can able to take the source code and develop and distribute as their own, like different organizations. Example: Red Hat, Red Hat, CentOS, Ubuntu, Debian, Fedora. So different organizations, different people develop the Linux. They take the Linux kernel, develop the Linux operating system, and distribute the Linux operating system. So Linux based operating system or Linux distributions or flavors are like Ubuntu, CentOS, Red Hat, Enterprise Linux, Debian, Oracle Enterprise Linux or Oracle Linux, Fedora Linux, Amazon Linux, okay, SUSE Linux, OpenSUSE, Kali Linux, BlackRock Linux. These are a lot of Linux based operating systems are there, lot of Linux distributions are there. So different organizations take the Linux kernel and develop and distribute it. And Linux no proprietary means there is a no ownership on the Linux kernel. Anybody can take it and develop it and distribute it. Okay, it is a free licenses. Linux kernel is a free licensing based on the GPL version 2, general public license version 2, and GNU. So we Linux called as GNU. GNU means GNU not Unix, not Unix. It's not Unix. And this Linux actually, the Linus Torvald take a Unix kernel, small part of Unix kernel, and developed the Linux kernel. That's it is called Linus Torvald and Unix. It's a Linux. Linux, you can say anything. Okay. So this is kernel.org. You can try. Okay. This is the latest version of Linux kernel. Just you have to download it. And if you know how to do kernel programming and shell programming, then you can develop your own operating system also. And you can distribute it also. So these are the first main points about Linux. Then we'll go to the Windows operating system. Okay. Windows operating system, either Windows desktop or Windows server. They are not open source. The source code of Windows operating system we don't know. It's not given to publicly. Only Microsoft knows what is the source code of their operating system, and you can't take their source code and develop yourself. Not available like that. Okay, it's a proprietary of Microsoft only. All rights to Microsoft only. Okay, and to use of any Microsoft operating system, either desktop or laptop operating system or a server operating system. So it is a paid licenses. You have to pay for use license. You can say like, sir, I brought a laptop which is with the Windows 11. I didn't pay any license for a license for my Windows 11. Yeah, you didn't pay, but it is already paid by the laptop manufacturer with a OEM license. OEM license, original equipment manufacturer license is there. So whenever they build a laptop, so they take a license from the Microsoft. They install the OS. So it is OEM type, means original equipment manufacturer license is there. Of course, there were different license, retail license is there. For example, you have a desktop or some laptop is there. You want to buy a new version of some Windows operating system. It's not came with the OS, and you want a OS, Windows OS, then definitely you have to pay for licenses. Okay, that is, and it is a proprietary of Microsoft. Only Microsoft company build Windows-based operating system and distribute it. So no others cannot do that one. Okay. Next, in Windows is basically powerful GUI. The GUI means if you are using Windows is mainly it is graphical user interface, more in a graphical user interface, powerful GUI. You do lot of tasks, majority of tasks we do in a graphical user interface only. Very less with the command line interfaces, command prompt. Whereas coming to the Linux, Linux is CLI is based. Mainly command lines wise management is very high, powerful CLI. Okay, powerful CLI command line management. Then you want to do disk management, or maybe you want to do process management, network management, or maybe you want to install an application, or you want to manage the services. You do everything in the command line in the Linux. Very less use of GUI and very less people use GUI mode of operating system. And next in Windows, it is not case sensitive. So I created a file. For example, there is a file. You see, this is a file, right? Capture, right? If I convert into everything into cap letters, so one more copy I create like a cap letters. So both are same only. So there is no capital small kind of. So you see, this is PST. It's a cap letters tools. If I type small letters, also it is taken. Okay. So no cap letters, small letters, not so only for the passwords, except for the password and certain places only maximum one or two. But majority percent 99% it is 99.99%. It's not a case sensitive. So no difference between capital A and cap small a. Okay, like you created a file a dot txt file you created capital A dot txt. Another one is small a dot txt. So like both are like same only. So there is no difference in a commands, files, everything is not a case sensitive here. Coming to the Linux, Linux is case sensitive. Linux is case sensitive. You created a file capital A dot txt and small a dot. So there is two files. Okay, you have a without using case sensitive, you can't access even commands as well as the files, directories. Everything is case sensitive. Compulsory follow the capital and small letters compulsory. This is in the Linux. And in the Linux, it is virus free. Virus free does not mean actually it is virus free, guys. Most of the viruses, because the worldwide the major operating system for desktop purpose is Windows operating system only. So the viruses, trojans, malware, spywares, okay, these are all created mainly usually attack for Windows operating system only. Okay, so different ways they are trying to attack, like using .exe corruptions or Win32 based applications, registries. These things not available in Linux. That's why the Windows based viruses don't work in Linux, because no self executions like .exe won't execute it here. Okay, so Win32 based applications won't work here. Registries are not here. So that's why it is virus. It does not mean really, because Linux architecture is different. Linux architectures, file executions are different. So it's not self executions. Everything we have to creates. No auto executions are there. You have to create auto executions. But in Windows, is not like that. Simple link, simple file. It is executed. And okay, like this. Next, in Windows we have Windows Desktop operating system, means desktop or laptop purpose operating systems, like Windows 10, Windows 11, desktop based operating system. Windows Server operating, for server purpose separate Windows Server operating system. So desktop purpose one operating system, server purpose separate operating system is there. But Linux, Unix operating system majorly used for server purpose only. Very less per very less for the desktop purpose. Like Ubuntu desktop is there. Ubuntu desktop people use it for majorly for desktop purpose. Some also you can use it for a server purpose also. So that's why Linux, we are not using Linux mainly. It's not meant for the desktop usage, not supporting for multiple applications. Windows based running applications are available widely. Lot of applications, lot of compatible applications are available and easy to use because it's user friendly. You can install any application by clicking and installing. It is quite easy in Windows operating system. It's a user friendly without much training and learning of Windows. You can start using Windows operating. It's user friendly and GUI based, so easily we can understand and work. But in Linux, it is CLI based mainly. Majorly work is CLI based. Okay, and it is a lot of applications are not available. So even though you want to install certain packages, application services, it's not easy. Okay, and it is Linux is to work on Linux we need a trained professionals. Like first day only you can work on Linux is not available. Okay, you must learn Linux operating system compulsory. The basics and administration both you should learn it. Then only you work on the Linux. Nowadays, the people are going for this cloud compute. Not nowadays, it's from few years, like 3 4 years, from 3 4 years people started learning this Linux, cloud computing. When I said, so learn Windows Linux operating system, they said, no, no, sir, the latest one is cloud. Why you are telling all these old expiry things? Then how once they started cloud, again inside they are working with the Linux operating systems, and of course Windows based connectivities, because our desktop OS is our laptops and desktop having Windows operating system. But in a cloud, all the servers are Linux based servers only. Majorly work with the Linux based servers only. Okay, so like that, guys. These are not a old. These are all forever type only. Okay, Windows or Linux, anything. Yeah, of course. To work on the Linux operating system, so we need a trained professionals. So next, of course, in our Windows operating system, there is a built-in administrator. We don't use that administrator account. Our primary account, our first account itself is our administrator. For example, in this system, I created one admin account. See, admin 035. He is the administrator of this system. Okay, so there is the word we use. The is a administrator. So either the built-in administrator, or you can make any user as a administrator. Like a first user by default is a administrator. So administrator is can control the system. He has all privileges in the Windows operating system. In Linux, we have a root user. In Linux, we have a root user. The root user is the administrator of Linux operating system. Okay, he has a root user has a all privileges. Is a highly privileged user. All privileges in the root user. Okay, so this is my Linux machine, guys. I open here. It is Linux operating system. It's a CLI based. Just I log in with the root account. And what I have done, I access remotely, because see, this is a very small letters. You can't able to see myself. I can't able to see first of all. Okay, so And this is I log in with an application called Mobile Extreme, or you can use Putty also. So I log into that remote Linux system. So I can access the Linux system from anywhere through network, simple IP address, and SSH protocol. Okay, is a root. Yes, the WhatsApp said Windows is a single user multitasking operating system. So currently I log in with one user, right? So for example, I want to log in with other user. One login already done. So if I have two users, I want to log in with the other user. So I have to log it from current user, log out from current user, then log in with other user. Okay. If I have a 10 users, only one user can able to log into the same system. That is single user multitask. Multiple tasks we can perform. Okay. Single user type. Next is multi-user multitask. Linux is a multi-user multitask. See, same user account like a root user account login here. Okay, and see with the same root user I log in here also. In case if I have a multiple users, 1 second I have to check it. Is this machine having multiple users or not? So I said the CLI base. So there is a user called a admin user one. Okay, this is the login user is admin user one. Okay, so I can connect it to this admin user one. So this is root user login. This is admin user one, not 38. So mistake. This is the mistake. What is that? Admin user one. Mostly password is same for everyone. Yeah. So login as a admin user one. See. So it's a admin user one. Here I login root user. Same system. This same system I login with the different users and also same users. Like three users are login, one user directly log into the main physical machine, and again root login from remotely, and this user also login from remotely. Physically or remotely, both the ways you can log in to the same system. Multiple users, 10 users are there. All 10 users can log into the same system at a time. In Windows, we can't do that one. Only one user can log in at a time. But here it is, all users can log in at a time. So that is called a multi-user. Of course, we can perform multiple tasks at a time. And another important one is required more hardware footprint. So Windows is a GUI based. To run Windows operating system and their applications, so Windows operating system consumes more CPU, RAM, and storage as compared to Linux and Unix operating system. Linux and Unix is basically CLI based. Even GUI based Linux and Unix we are using. So, but it is consume very less CPU, RAM, and storage um, resources as compared to Windows. That's it is less hardware front. Means requirement of hardware is very less. I have seen that so many times because simple example I will tell. When I'm practicing initially, I started on the Windows based virtual machine, Windows 10 virtual machine. In that one, I installed Git, Jenkins, Maven, and Docker. So when I installed Docker, it is freezed. 4 GB RAM also not enough for running these things. So I extend my RAM. So I went to up to 6 GB RAM for the virtual machine. Even that is also dead slow. And that is also dead slow. Okay. So that's a point I'm trying to say. But same thing I implemented in the Linux system. With the 2 GB RAM, I'm happily running my Jenkins, Git, Maven, including this Docker containers are running with the 2 GB RAM. So I just need a higher connection, then I go with the 4 GB RAM. So that is, so the Linux operating system, the hardware requirement is very less. Okay. So this is the basic differences between the Windows and Linux operating system. So where are the underlines are there now? So those are the major points. Also, you can use other points also additionally. Okay, guys, got it? Any questions regarding Windows Linux differences? Any inputs? Hmm? Some people having a mind in this Windows and Linux. So security. So in case in your any interview or someone asks, which is more secure? Is the Linux is more secure, but reality is not like that. Okay, but I'm not argue or putting any sentence for security part. Of course, Linux is CLI. It's not much easy for anybody to run, but there is a lot of security concerns are there. It's not about the security kind of stuff, guys. These are the major points. These actual points are very important. The virus free security, Windows is not at all secure, Linux is very secure. These are all just for telling purpose. People who are not use Linux or Windows properly, they don't know both, so they will give a statements. But still no problem. So when any time of interview or any internal interview time or general they ask, you can tell them. So like don't argue with anybody. Just if they ask which is more secure you feel, then you say Linux is more secure. Which is more virus free, you can say Linux is virus free. Why it is? It won't execute .exes. Okay, Linux is CLI based. Not everyone understand use of Linux. It's very like more command line kind of interfaces. Kind. Okay. Remote connection is also SSH. It is secure one like that. But even that is not a valid point. But still, you can add that kind of stuff for security purpose. So of course, guys. So there is different scenario, different points also. If you able to access any Linux system physically, you can reset the root passwords also. So don't add anything. Just that's a simple Linux and Windows differences. One more is there that is called a Windows and Mac operating system differences. And you are using Android mobile phone, right? Android and Apple, which is you prefer, and why? You have Windows and Mac. More popular desktop based operating system. Windows OS is there. Mac OS is also there for desktop. Like a laptop, notebooks you are buying, which is more preferable, and why? So you don't know the core kind of stuff like this core distributions, executions, okay, multi-user, multi kind of stuff. You don't know anything differences between Windows and Mac or maybe Android and Apple. You can tell it's generalized user-based differences. Even you don't see the Mac or maybe iPhone or Android, you don't see anyway. But still you can able to make a point also. Example, you want to buy a Windows based laptop, it is you will buy from 15,000, 25,000, 30,000, 40, 50, 60, 70,000 like that you can purchase. But in MacBooks, the starting price is 75,000. I think so it's more than 70,000 guarantee starting price itself. Okay. The cost wise Mac is high, very high. Okay. And Mac also runs on the two hardwares. One is Intel hardware as well as um, 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 their own Apple hardwares also there. This both it will run. Windows runs on Intel and AMD processors. It will run. Okay, and Microsoft Windows is compatible applications. Are so many Microsoft based compatible applications are available. You can download it from different websites and you can install and use it. and Windows is more wide open based applications are available. In wide variety of applications you can install and run on the Windows operating system. Whereas a Mac, only Mac allowed applications only run. That too from their Play Store kind of stuff. Windows also we have a Play Store. Market Play Store is there. This is the store. Microsoft Store. From Microsoft Store you can download applications, and also you can download from the different websites. Where in a Mac only from the Mac their stores on Mac stores only or Mac Play stores only you can able to download. Okay, so different hardware compatibilities, extra RAM, we can easily increase RAM capacity, storage capacities. Okay, you will to get it in the Windows OSs. Okay, Mac is not like it's a fixed hardware. So additional hardware is additional pricing is there kind of stuff. Okay, coming to Android and Apple. So both are more popular nowadays, right? So which is your prefer? For example, I prefer the Android. Why I prefer Android? So 10, 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 25,000, 1 lakh rupees also Android is phones are available. But Mac cost is the new large cost is 70,000. Okay, cost difference is there. And with Android also different featuring phones are available in, of course, in Apple, like hardware wise, security wise, Mac and Apple is iPhone is more stronger as compared to Windows and Android, more stronger because security only that those allowed applications through their play stores, those that applications only can use it. No third party applications, no third party website applications. But Windows and Android, you can download any applications from different sources and install it. And Android also third party APKs are allowed to install and run it in your Android phones. Okay, so like that. So usage related difference. What I'm trying to say is user based. So like cost differences, compatibility differences. You don't need to require their core functionalities, core operating system information is not required to. If you don't know, it's okay, no problem. But go with the usage wise also. So that's why these are the differences are important. Okay. Hmm. Take a 5 minutes of break, guys. Just a 5 minutes of break. Then we'll going to see the system configuration. This is become very very important. Recent interviews also some people got this question. What is your operating system? What is your CPU? Tell me about your system configuration. So again, this is become once again it is very important. So even what is your mobile phone configurations also. So after small break, we'll go into discuss. Just 5 minutes, like 12:15, we'll be back. Okay.